I did.
It's like just 2 seconds.
Hello. I'm getting water and then moving my bowl so that I can do something.
I am just quickly going to share that we are live before I forget. I can remember how to hit paste.
Let's at least wait for a couple of people. I need to go grab my Sea of Monsters book, actually.
Yeah, we were not prepared.
When are we ever? Oh, hello. Oh, no. It's not the... I'm sorry, it's a mess. It's too messy for Sadie Browns. I'm sorry. No, Sadie! You want to say hi to the people? Come on, Sadie. Say hi.
No.
Hey, Sadie, sit. Good girl. That's a good girl. Yeah. I'll leave the door open. You can come and go as you please.
There, and I think I've
I
notified.
almost sat on the fucking dog. Hi. Yeah. Are you going to be a nuisance? Yeah. She says yes.
More than likely.
She's going to... Hi. Okay. Hi. We have another guest host today. No, Lucinda, this is not the new doggo. We are dog sitting for my brother and sister-in-law. Both of their dogs are with us. That was the Sadie Brown Trout. Hello, Sadie Brown.
Yeah.
She's
gonna be a pain in the butt, but also entertainment, because
yeah,
why not?
What are you? Anyways, so we're here to talk about The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan.
Yes, I have the crappy movie cover.
Yeah, can't relate. I have the OG cover. Let's see.
For the rest of the book,
I would just like everybody to know that this book is set in 13-point Centaur MT, which is the font that it is. The font is called Centaur. Formatting people did it right.
Wow.
Yes. Knox is watching. LOL.
Yeah.
So, you have the list of like questions and stuff, right?
Well, we didn't necessarily decide on questions, just...
That's the same thing we used last time.
Yeah, which like first
stole from somebody else.
Wow, we stole it and then I made it very short because we spend way too much time talking about things and we answer all the other questions within our other questions, so
yeah.
And obviously the questions of like, are we continuing the series? Like, of course we are.
Like, doy.
Or like things like that. Would you read anything else by the author? Those type of questions that are typically asked. I'm like, well, of course, yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes,
we have to.
So first thing is explanation of the book and overall like general thoughts. Like no spoilers.
Did general synopsis last time, so that would be yours.
Oh no, you do. We agreed. You do the general synopsis each time because I guide the questions. Okay. You do the synopsis.
So, please note that those watching this live, there will be spoilers for book 1 in this and book 2.
Do you want to know something? You didn't make the banner of no spoilers for future books. I was gonna be like, oh, I put nope, I don't have access to that.
Spoilers.
There will be spoilers for the first book in the series, but no spoilers for any like subsequent book after the second. So like we won't talk about how something from this book connects to the fourth book, for example, or like things like that. There's going to be no spoilers for future books.
There will be spoilers for the second and the first.
Yes,
in the series. So we pick up the Sea of Monsters pretty the year after the Lightning Thief ends. Percy is at a new school, and at the beginning we follow him and his friend Tyson. Tyson is he's written to be somebody who has a learning disability, and he is homeless. He just kind of has gone through a lot in his life. And when we enter the book, we see them in gym class, where, of course, something goes very wrong with the Canadians.
That's the one thing I have tabbed of the joke.
It's
Of
funny.
like the Canadians.
We have that all like set, and that's how Percy ends up going back to Camp Half-Blood after Annabeth obviously comes to the rescue and saves his ass, because
No surprise there.
yeah, exactly, because turns out camp is dying and people are having a hard time figuring out why, until it is pointed out that Talia's, we never figured out how to pronounce that.
I
Talia
always pronounce
Free
it Talia, but
is sick. And we all know which asshole did that. So, they have to go on a quest. But here's the thing. Chiron is, basically, he's fired. And so they get a new camp director. What the fuck is his name?
I always forget it.
What's his name? Starts with the T. Oh, Thanatos. He is the new activities director. If you don't know Greek mythology, Thanatos is the one who fed his children to the gods, and as his punishment, he is tortured by food. He can't drink anything. He can't eat. It always is in front of him, but he can never reach it, because, feeding your children to the gods is like a massive offense.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, don't fucking feed us your children, because we will make your life a living hell. So basically that's kind of his background. And then it turns out that Percy is not the one being sent on this quest, and it is actually a new hero being sent on the quest. But Percy obviously is not having that, so he, Annabeth, Tyson. I totally forgot the whole subplot with Grover.
I know, I was like, Grover in the wedding dress. When are we going to mention that?
They end up leaving, both in part because they don't trust who is sent on the quest, and their friend Grover, who we also kind of see at the beginning of the book, is currently being captured by some large monster, and he is wearing a wedding dress. And Percy obviously is like, why the fuck is my best friend wearing a wedding dress? And so he had to go, like, deal with all that. So, yeah. This is probably my least favorite of the series so far. But I still love the book, obviously. Like, I love it to death. And the more I read it, the more I appreciate it. Sometimes it just feels too short when I'm rereading it. It's like, I want more, but I can't have more.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the shortest of all of the...
It is the shortest, and...
of all of Rick Riordan's books, because...
Most definitely.
Not including the novellas.
Yeah,
we're just talking generally about his novels.
Novels.
Shortest novel.
Yeah.
Obviously, his novella bind-ups are going to be shorter than this.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, I overall, like, I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. And because of it being so short, everything felt very rushed.
Yes.
Especially
But I also appreciate that because they were on a time crunch with the with Thalia's tree, which I thought was really interesting, and I think that's part of the reason that it was so quick, especially because in the last book it was longer because like when you think about it, it was longer, but the setup to the world was a lot longer, so we spent more time world building than
because like for example, they didn't actually start the quest for at least 100 pages. I can't remember exactly how many pages it is. Versus this one, it's like, I'm just flipping through.
Yeah. Yeah, so you give your general thoughts and then we can go through first go through the comments and then get on to the next one.
Yeah, my general thoughts are I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And out of, like, this is no spoilers for any of the other books that I've read by Rick Riordan. It is definitely my least favorite book by him that I've read.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's rushed, but I understand why some things feel rushed. But in general, like, not that it is forgettable, but since this was a reread for me, I kind of had realized, like, oh, I forgot so many things in it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it will be, like, in a couple years, I won't remember like, a lot of the details.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus when I was reading, for example, like, the first book, I had remembered, like, all of the key plot points. I had remembered those perfectly, but versus this, I didn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like it will be, like, the plot points will slowly disappear over, like, the next, like, 6 months, a year, whatever.
Yeah. Or I will remember, like, the big things that happened, but, like, the little details I won't remember. So
honestly, going into this, the only thing that I really remembered was Grover in a wedding dress, Percy getting turned into a guinea pig.
I forgot about the whole guinea pig thing. For some reason, I thought that happened in a later book, but it didn't.
I thought it happened in book 3, but then as I like was reading it, I remembered. I was like, oh, it happens in this later on.
Yeah.
But those are, like, the only things that I remembered besides, like, the big things of, like, Thalia's tree dying. I remembered that. Or, like, how the quest in this wasn't actually an official quest. Like, those are the things I remembered, but everything else, you could have probably gave me a quiz on this and I would have gotten nothing right.
Yeah. So, those are general thoughts. Going to the comments. Quick.
Yeah, because you're in charge of the comments.
I am. I'm just multitasking today. So we have Lucinda said she started the 3rd one today. That is awesome. Dionysus. Dionysus is the activities director, not the
like, leader of camp.
Yeah. He doesn't. While he has technically more power than Chiron, Chiron is kind of the one in charge of the camp. And with Grover pretending not to be a satyr, yes, he was pretending to be
a female cyclops.
A female cyclops. So.
Yeah, because it was a cyclops that was trying to.
Yep.
Well, was trying to bewed him, thinking that he was a female cyclops, when in reality
he was a
obviously
satyr.
Yeah, and
but
cyclops
also
is like
Grover was so smart for thinking of that. I would not have thought of that.
I would have just been
like, okay, you can eat me.
Yeah, I would have just been like, okay, bye.
I'd be like, okay, bye, cruel world.
Okay, I guess now we're moving kind of onto the characters and going into Grover at first, which makes sense because
He's Grover.
it's Grover, and also Lily. The first like chapter title is "My Best Friend Shops for a Wedding Dress," which is where we find out that Grover ends up in a wedding dress. But honestly, that like Grover is very like when given a situation, very easily finds a solution, even if it's not the most like thought out.
Yeah, and I like how Rick makes it so that he does have anxiety about his choices that he's making, but he still makes the choices because that just feels
and typically sticks with those choices. Like doesn't halfway through realize like, okay, this isn't working. What do I do now? Which is nice, like. And in this, it's like, yeah, there's like the comedic relief of Grover because, oh, he's in a wedding dress and that's hilarious to imagine.
Yeah.
But there's also the, like the fear that he has of like, am I going to get eaten in a few days, or
like,
am I going to be saved? Am I going to be able to like escape?
Exactly. For sure. Let's see. So other characters that we meet. Obviously we have Percy, so we see a little bit more of his character development, and we see how we begin to experience how Percy interacts with girls, those of the opposite sex. He is, because we see that he has a picture of Annabeth in his notebook that he carries around at school.
Honestly is adorable.
It's really fucking cute.
Because like if you think about it, like Annabeth is one of his not first friends, but first friends that actually can understand
what he's going through.
Yeah, what he's going through, because
they doesn't both look at him like he's some kind of weirdo.
Exactly. And so like that little picture is almost like just like a symbol of like, that's my friend, I don't want to forget her in between summers.
Yeah, but also we all know part of the reason he kept that. He just won't admit it to anybody.
Yeah, because he's a stubborn boy.
Let's see. Speaking of Annabeth, we can talk a little bit about Annie B. And I love her like a lot. And also seeing her, like the way she kind of like copes with everything is really cool. Because she's Annabeth. We learn a little bit more of her backstory, especially when it comes to how she interacts with Tyson, which I thought was really, really interesting and very well done. Because while she still had issues with Tyson, she wasn't like, trying to describe what I mean. She wasn't like she was putting in effort to try, even though like she has a thing against Cyclops. Like she doesn't like them, which when you hear about her story, she understands like kind of like what that is.
Yeah, and then by the end, she realizes that, oh, Tyson's not like the other Cyclopses that I've interacted with. He's actually good, and
He's decent.
yeah.
Okay, on to Tyson. I absolutely love him. I the way he's written is very autistic coded. At least that's how I see it. I don't know if that was like intentionally done by Rick or if that was just some kind of like coincidence, because I know he says like, oh, Cyclops aren't supposed to be necessarily be that intelligent, but still, I love Tyson because he's still very smart in his own way, and he's still very much his own character, and I love him for that because he's like, he's not just like there to be there. He has a purpose. It's not like he's like just there because they needed somebody there. He like Rick made sure that he had a purpose and like a whole personality, things that he wanted and liked. Like basically he was his own human, like own person.
Yeah, and wasn't just there to be there. He actually had
Or like
a purpose
to like do that kind of stuff. So yeah, trying to think if there. Oh, I know who we're gonna talk about next. Clarice. You also see some of her history with her father in this book.
Yes.
And
I like,
yes,
I'll just say, like, I really
Clarice
enjoyed
is
that.
a bully. Like, it is a fact that Clarice is a bully. She you know, she obviously, like in the first book, she picks on Percy, picks on Annabeth. Though oddly, she doesn't try to fight Annabeth, which I think is really funny because I'm wondering, like, did she fight Annabeth at some point and Annabeth like kicked her ass? Is that like what's happening?
Oh, I would imagine.
Or actually, no, because you know what? Clarice respects warriors. That's what she does. She like, yes, she has her issues, and when you see her interact with her father, Ares, you
It can help
you can
understand why she is the way that she acts.
Exactly. Because like when you think about it, it's like when you see how awful her dad is to her, you can kind of understand why she kind of adopted the personality she has. I don't think she intentionally. I think like on the surface level, she does want people to fear her, but on like deep down on the inside, she actually cares about people. She's just terrified of being hurt or abandoned because as of right now, we don't know anything about her mom. So it we don't know if like her mom's like super supportive or if she's like a good mom or if like she's terrible, because like we know that sometimes parents of demigods can be shitheads, because like Annabeth's stepmother, for example, is a piece of shit.
Yeah, very prejudiced against her.
Exactly. So it's kind of like you kind of have to like figure out where her personality is coming from, because it goes back to, again, nature versus nurture. Yes, she is an asshole, but the question is she an asshole because she's just was always born, like she was born and just meant to be an asshole because of who she was genetically, or was it like less of a, or if it was like a she has lived her entire life having to fight and protect herself, so in order to do that she shoves people away, like shoves them away.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Who else did we meet and get to spend quite a bit of time with? Oh, Dionysus had an interesting character arc in this book.
Yeah.
Because in the first book, we see him kind of like picking on Chiron. They don't necessarily like loathe each other, but they definitely do not get along, and you kind of see that they have this camaraderie until this book, when Tantalus is at the end of the book, when Tantalus is sent back to the underworld after Chiron's name is cleared, and you hear that and Luke basically admits that he was the one that poisoned Dahlia's tree. And so,
which is like surprise to nobody.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like it was like kind of a surprise for those at camp who didn't know.
Yeah.
And like Dionysus even says like something along the lines of, I missed his like Pinochle games or whatever that game is that they play, or Pinnacle or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But like you get the idea that like he genuinely missed Chiron. He's just pissed off at Zeus because Zeus sent him to live on the mortal world pretty much for 100 years. And so he's like, I hate humans, basically. So obviously Chiron was great. I enjoyed Luke a little bit more in this book, like as the villain.
You definitely are able to see he's more of his villainous intentions and actions.
And you can see that he is a very charismatic person, which is part of why, I mean, like, we don't know how much of that is Kronos' influence, because we know that Kronos can influence people to behave, think, or speak a certain way. But even before Kronos was part of Luke's life, you see it when Annabeth is talking about her past. Like, she talks about how charismatic Luke is, and I think that's what makes him a little bit more of a terrifying villain, because he's charismatic. So it's like, and another thing that I love about him is that the reason he's so pissed off makes sense. Like, and again, we see more of like his interactions with his father, and we also meet Hermes and the beginning of this book.
And when he aids Percy in the whole sneaking away from camp.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big character moments that we have. I don't think we meet any other characters.
Not really.
At least none that we like get to have like enough time with to really develop them. But yeah, as a kid, I hated Clarice. Like, I hated her. I was like, she's just so mean. She's like mean to everybody. She's mean to Percy, and she doesn't have to be mean to him. But as I get older and like understand humans more, it makes sense that as a way to protect herself, her brain automatically goes to, I need to push people away so that I don't get hurt. Because again, it makes sense in my that's how my brain makes sense of it.
Yeah. You want to go through some of the comments to...
Yeah, we'll go through comments and then look at the next question. But before I do that, were there any other characters you wanted to talk about, or?
Not really.
We don't really interact with anybody.
Yeah, like
we don't even really interact with Sally in this book.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of like
me sad because I love her. But yeah, so going through comments, Hello, I tried earlier but had no sound, but hear you now. That is good. Let us know if you have any other problems, and maybe it is something on our end. I think it's interesting that it's his bully that is his quest companion. Competition. Yes, I think that that's very interesting, but also I think it makes sense to put Clarice on that quest because she was the best person for said quest. Yes, Percy is very talented, but he does not understand how to command an army like Clarice does. It's just not part of his, I guess, like, demigodness. Like, he doesn't, like,
And
he
also,
obviously has his own strengths. We see that when he's piloting the various ships, but we're not, like, he doesn't really know how to be in charge the way Clarice does, which again you see at the beginning of the book with the whole the the rhino lion things,
yeah.
or the
And
mechanical bulls. That's what they were.
yeah.
Like, you see that, but you don't really, like, you see Clarice more being like the person who's like, okay, everybody hit here or go here. I mean, she's a little hard-headed, of course, but she was definitely the best person to send on said quest.
Yeah, and also the fact that Clarice is like Percy's quest competition is almost like he wants to prove to not only himself but other people that he can do these type of quests just as well as somebody else.
It's a pride thing.
Yeah.
Because I think he even, like, talks about, like, how it is a pride thing, because he's like, because even though, yes, it is mentioned that, like, for example, he says that the reason he wants to go on this quest is because of Grover, but, and while that's true, he also mentions that, like, he should be the one that goes on this quest because X, Y, and Z. It's less, like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So, yep. Next comment. The Grover backstory on his initial quest to bring his half-bloods back and fails was interesting, as that wasn't in the movie. Yeah, we don't talk about the movies though, because the movies are shit. Annabeth essentially has to overcome some prejudice. I thought that this book had a great arc for her. I agree, and I'm curious to see how they're going to do that in the TV show. I know season 1 only expands or only shows the first book, but I am intrigued to see how they theoretically, if I pray to God Disney Plus does not cancel it. I don't think that they will, but
You never know.
no, we're not putting that out into the universe.
Well, no, I'm just saying, let's let them get season 1 finished and then.
Yeah, then we can start freaking out about season 2. But
yeah.
I'm interested to see how they're going to do that, especially because Leah, the girl who's cast to play Annabeth, is a person of color and has likely experienced some form of prejudice before. And by likely, I mean from literally the fandom itself, because holy shit. I noticed it more with the newer fans. It's not so much with the old fans that are doing that. The old fans are like, is she blonde? Okay, that's literally all I care about. Like, because when you think about it, she is judged in the books for being blonde, and the joke is blondes are dumb. But people also make the joke of, oh, black people aren't that intelligent. So it might work even better to make Annabeth black, but that's, or a person of color. I don't know if I think Leah's black, but I'm not 100% sure. But, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think the coding was intentional, but Tyson is great. Y'all know that Percy himself was based on Rick's own sign. Yes, I did know that. I learned that pretty soon after I started the series. I found it very interesting that there were actual gods interfering in the mortal world. I mean, that's not exactly new. They usually have like a hand in some kind of chaos.
Yeah, but nothing.
But not like exactly like nothing to
Prominent?
the extent that it's done like here in these books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Tyson was meant to be autistic, just childlike as he's a baby Cyclops. Yeah, I think that is probably more accurate, but I'm just going to make myself feel better because there's not enough autistic representation.
Yeah, it could be that the way that
maybe he's an infant, but also I am claiming him as part of the autistic community, and if you tell me that I'm wrong, then you are ableist.
Well, no, I'm
not actually.
Like, I feel like the way that Rick wrote him was, he's meant to be childlike because he is a baby Cyclops, but also maybe there was some elements that he had in mind that also line up with somebody who is autistic. That just the combination is so that you can view the character as however you interpret it.
Oh, yeah.
Which 100%. He does with a lot of his characters, is you can interpret their actions or their choices in whatever way you want.
Exactly, which is something I appreciate about Rick, but my brain tends to... I am autistic, so that's kind of the first thing I notice is if a character has similar behaviors to me, which is why I relate to Tyson the most out of his, at least the characters that we've met so far. So yeah. Next comment. All the stuff with the horsies. I think that the reason he was so excited because probably because he'd never seen something so beautiful before. He it is confirmed in the books that he was abused. He grew up homeless in a refrigerator box in the alley in a New York City alley. So he likely hadn't seen things that were beautiful, and he probably hadn't seen anything other than Percy that wasn't absolutely terrified of him. Because people might not know he's a Cyclops, but people know that he's huge and that he can be clumsy, and even the people at camp are terrified of him. So, you kind of had that going on too. So, yeah. Grover wearing the flying trainer still amuses me. Yes, I'm excited to see that in the TV show, especially because he's going to be the right age in order to do it. So I'm very excited to see how the actor that I'm forgetting the name of off the top of my head will do it. Will do, mostly just because I imagine that he will be attached to obviously he'll be attached to some kind of wire, and so the behind the scenes shots for that will be funny. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I liked the casting of Hermes in the movie. Yes,
I haven't seen this.
Nathan Fillion is Hermes in the movie, but the way they introduced him in the movie was BS because, yeah, the only thing I liked about the movie. Yep, the backlash against Annabeth casting actually made me sick. She's a kid. The deepest pocket of Tartarus is truly reserved for those fans who were willing to fucking pick on a child. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes.
And please note that if you are watching this and you participated in any slander regarding the actors, you are not welcome on my page. Just throwing that out there. If you said anything negative about the casting related to
Any of the characters.
anything, you're not welcome on this page. So that is all.
Yep.
Anyways, so what is next? What's next on the?
The next is like locations. I like scenes, locations / monsters. It's kind of all brought up to one because typically you go to a new location, a new monster is brought up, or a new enemy, or like.
Trying to think. We talked about the Cyclops.
Yeah.
And the Canadians.
Which I literally, again, that's the only thing I have tabbed because I find that hilarious. I'm like,
if you guys did not know, Hope is a Canadian.
Yes, I literally remember reading that and being like, I have to tap that. I think I was on a live, and I was like, gotta grab it.
You're like, hello, what?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna bring that up.
You, sir. It's like, sir, why are you talking about me? Not all Canadians are bloodthirsty giants.
Definitely
except for the moose. The moose are definitely bloodthirsty giants. I don't trust them at all.
I'm like flipping through to see if anything like.
I had a couple of tabs. I think.
I mean, I liked the fight with the Hydra.
That was pretty cool, and I'm annoyed that they put that in the first movie because Tyson was the biggest help. In that situation, so having anybody else do it, well, we all know how much I hate the first movie, so I hate both movies, but that's beside the point. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought process around that. I guess here's probably a good place to take a look at tabs and stuff.
I don't really have that many tabs.
I have a few things underlined and highlighted and whatnot.
Well, I just kind of got so into the story that my brain like forgot to tab, and then I'm like, I should have tabbed. I'll try to do better next time, but
I just tab things when I think of it, and I read this towards the beginning of the month, so yeah. Let's.
I read it like the end of last month, so.
Oh, I left my water on the floor. So I need to grab my water, but So I found one of my underlines.
Okay.
Actually, a couple. These are on pages. This is on page 9. It said Sloane wasn't big or strong, but he acted like. I just noticed a fucking typo.
What?
Here. It says. Acted like was he.
Oh.
It should have been flipped. Rick! Sir, you were a teacher!
Yeah, in this it says, but he acted like he was. In this version.
Ultra rare copy of the Sea of Monsters with one typo. It is mine, you cannot have it. Unless you pay me $10 billion. Anyways, he had eyes like a pit bull, and I just, drew a little line that said, "Pits are baby." And then just me wondering if Tyson had autism spectrum disorder, or as most people would say, if he was just autistic, because... Oh, here's another one. So, I even made a comment. So I kind of like bracketed this paragraph that said, Clarice came back over and wiped the soot off her forehead. Jackson, if you can stand, get up. We need to carry the wounded back to the big house and let Tantalus know what happened. Know what's happened. And then, so I bracketed it, and then my note says, not bad, just alone and angry. So keep flipping through for more notes if there are any, because I think that there are, but I can't be 100% sure because we all know that my memory is shit.
Yeah. I know that obviously we briefly talked about it, but the whole how Cersei turns Percy into a guinea pig.
Iconic scene, yes.
Iconic. I absolutely love it.
I also like how Annabeth is just like, she just sees Percy as a guinea pig and she's like, the fuck happened to you? Okay, so here's one. This is actually in Cersei's, on Cersei's island, and it says, and I said, I fidgeted in the front of the mirror. This is a paragraph that I bracketed. I fidgeted in front of the mirror. I hated thinking about my appearance, like the first zit that had cropped up on my nose at the beginning of the school year, or the fact that my 2 front teeth weren't perfectly even, or that my hair never stayed down straight. And that is Percy talking about himself. And I said, making insecurity normal for boys. Because, obviously, boys and men, of course, will have moments or feelings of insecurity because it's a human thing to be insecure. And I like how Rick isn't afraid to make his characters be that vulnerable and insecure.
Yeah, he's showing like young boys that are reading this, or even like any age really.
Going in a lot, because Percy is like 13 in this book, I think.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, no, because he was 12 in the first book, so that means he's 13 in this book.
It's showing people that around that age that it's okay to be insecure of things.
And that going through puberty is something that happens. Like, because again, he makes comments that like Annabeth is taller than him, and that kind of bugs him because he doesn't like being the shortest person there around. But yeah, so him showing that yes, these characters will go through puberty and do go through puberty, like on page. And then here's another one. This is another one. This is when Chiron and everybody they meet up with Chiron. So when Clarice is taking the fleece back to camp, Chiron's this is like a paragraph, and it says, Chiron sighed. He set Annabeth and Grover down on a picnic blanket next to me. I really wish my cousins wouldn't slam their heads together. And this is the part I underlined. They don't have the brain cells to spare. And my only note on that was just me. Because, and because that's like, I was like, oh yeah, I've gotten so many concussions that like I lose brain cells, of course, but then obviously I make jokes that I don't have brain cells. So there is that. I thought that was funny. So to the comments really quick. BTW, don't look up Canada on the Riordan wiki. There are some spoilers there. For which series? Because I've read everything except for everything except
I will put myself through the
because like I'm just wondering because it's like
I think I know what it is.
Because I was gonna say, because if it's
I
If
can
it's
type.
the only series that I haven't finished by him are Trials of Apollo and Kane Chronicles. So those are the only two that I haven't finished. All of his others I have finished. So anyways, continuing on. Mild spoilers, but spoilers nonetheless. Thank you for the warning. Read! I could not have said it better myself. Out of curiosity, have y'all read Circe by Madeline Miller? I have not, and I don't plan on it.
Yeah, there is a little bit. When you look up Canada, there's things, minor things.
About
For
this is what they said. One
Yeah.
of the Heroes of Olympus demigods is from Canada. Yeah, okay. So if it was that,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Because
it says
my
like
boy. What
because
if
it's
my
like
boys?
the series is the Sea of Monsters, the Last Olympian, and like Heroes of Olympus is the Lost Hero, the Son of Neptune, and then just like things.
Yes. So
Yeah, and then just facts about Canada.
He just has facts about Canada on his website.
Well, if you like the trivia, like one of the things is like Canada's capital is Ottawa, or Canada is the second largest country by area on the planet, the biggest being Russia. About Canada as part of the Commonwealth of Nations, former British colonies that are now independent, but still see the monarch of the United Kingdom as their monarch, and then like
that's funny.
I find that kind of funny, and then it's like all the locations that, and it's mentioned in the location, in the countries.
So, I enjoyed that. So what is next after scenes, monsters, and
pretty much our rankings, and then like any other thoughts?
Okay.
Because we're gonna eventually rank it all. Let me find the rankings that I wrote down in the phone.
For which one?
For just our rankings. To keep track.
Oh, I was like, man, we've only read one book.
That's why I know, but I'm like, I had to write it down. But I have about 18,000 notes in my phone.
I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, we've only read two of the books.
Yeah, I know. It's literally, you can't even see it. Like, I wrote mine down.
I'm assuming you wrote mine down.
Well, what is your order? Obviously, mine is The Lightning Thief, then The Sea of Monsters.
No, it's my order, too.
Because it's going to be interesting, like, by the time we're, like, 3 series in to see, like, where our opinions change.
Yes.
And by the end, it would be clear of, like, oh, this is our top 5. Instead of at the end having to make a ranking list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Okay. I actually looked up Florida on the wiki, and it lists almost every city from that state. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff in Florida. Yeah. And it mentions that's where Chiron met our friends. Yes. So, I don't really have anything else to add. Other than the book for September is The Titan's Curse, and the live show for that will be held on Hope's channel, and we will be announcing that probably within the next 1.5 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll probably...
It just kind of depends on everybody's schedule. So,
yeah, we also need to wait for other book club...
other things to be announced. Nope, and she froze.
Dates, because we don't want to end up doing them, obviously. We have to can't be in 2 places at once.
Exactly. So, anyways, thank you all for watching this live, or if you're watching it back, thank you for joining us. Again, you can hop in at any time. And I look forward to seeing everybody back here.
Yeah, and
Maybe
don't
some
forget
new
to join the Discord if you haven't.
Yes. I've not created the description yet.
Yeah, that will be.
So that will be put up eventually. I have a lot of stuff going on right now.
If not, if you look on either of our channels, there is the announcement video. The link to the Discord should be in the description. It should be a never expiring link.
And if it is, please let one of us know on Twitter or on Instagram, and we will definitely get that fixed. So
yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.